Okay, so just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. I just want to say thank you for everybody that's been donating to the platform or that has donated to the platform. I really appreciate all of the donations in general and just being able to participate in a community like this where we've been able to create a godly presence online and grow that community. And I also want to thank everybody for the likes and subscribes and the comments. And you know what? Some of my favorite YouTubers recently, because I do watch YouTube every now and again as well myself, have started this almost trend of not just liking their own content, but other people as well and supporting your people. So I want to pass that on and carry that torch to you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe other people's content that you watch. It's good to support who you're actually watching and who you are actually getting edification from and learning from and just participating in this common life with. As for the second item, I did announce the second set of group sessions next month. If you want to have more information about those pieces of sessions, go click in the link in the description box below to Regal Change Academy, and you'll find out more information, or you could visit the community tab on my channel. Now, with that being said, the topic for today is how they can't really stop thinking about you. And this is not like an arrogant way of saying this. This is not like a capricious way of saying this. This is not a pretentious way. This is just saying that because you're someone that's so different, because you're someone that is so lively, because you're someone that is so just different in a good way, you're probably going to be taken advantage of, and you're probably going to be overlooked, and you're probably going to be underappreciated. But one thing is for damn sure, you are going to bounce back. And when you bounce back, people are not going to expect it. They're not going to like it, some of them. And you'll know the people that are actually supporting you and the ones that are not. And then you'll know the ones that are actually just unhealthily obsessed with you in your life. It's like, have you guys ever seen the Beatle Mania or whatever, where all of the women were just like crazy over the performers on stage? They couldn't even play the music because the sound was just so loud from the crowd, and so they actually decided to stop playing music from like 1966 on, I think it was, with the Beatles. But it's not going to be that dramatic for you, of course. I mean, maybe it will, who knows, but there's always that possibility. But it's likely the case that it's not going to get that intense, but it is going to get to the case to where people are just watching you now. They're just watching you just to watch you. Even if they hated you before, now they're like gonna have to watch you. And they're in a problem. Like, they might not even say much to you. They might just stare at you in awe or stare at you in disgust. And I've experienced both kinds of this thing. And I've also want to talk about, as far as the topics go, is when humanity sees its inner devil and its inner demons, then we may have peace. A lot of the times, people can't forget you, and people don't want to forget you because you actually brought some kind of momentary peace to their lives. They might not even realize what you were doing when you were literally freeing them from the chains of their curses in your presence. They might not realize exactly what you were doing, but they just knew that being around you felt good. Now, Charles Bukowski, hope I'm pronouncing that right, has a quote. He says, "You'll know the free soul when you see it and when you're near it, because you always feel good around these kinds of beings and this kind of soul." And I think that's very true. I think that's very, very true. And it's often the case also that you feel more free around people that are pure. Has any man here that has experienced both sides of the feminine scale, where and when I say that, I mean you've experienced masculine women and you've experienced very feminine women. And so the femininity levels were polarities almost. Which one do you feel more comfortable as, just around as a man? Obviously, the woman that's more feminine. And you're not even going to realize why you feel this way oftentimes. You're just going to feel like, specifically for me, the few feminine women that I've actually been around, you just feel so much more calm. Like there's just this sense of calmness to it. And it's that same kind of thing with a masculine man. I've had women tell me that I just feel safe. Like I just feel safe around. I feel like I can just tell you anything. And that's great to hear. Like, I'm pleased to hear that. But I don't really feel the same way about some of you guys. some of you all women out there, I don't feel the same way. Like, I don't care. I don't really care. Like, I will talk about things that are uncomfortable. Have you guys ever heard that song, Renegade by Jay-Z and Eminem? I'm not particularly a fan of their ethics, but their music is okay for me. And the song, Eminem's part goes something like, I'm a renegade, never been afraid to say what's on my mind at any given time of day. I'm a renegade. And that's exactly how it feels sometimes as a chosen one. It's like, you're not afraid to talk about the things that are going on in the world. You're not afraid to talk about the hard, difficult conversations. And you gotta, like, especially as a man, you have to stay the sophisticated, savage kind of person that you are. You have to remember that you're an animal. Because so many times, I think one of the most hurtful things about our society is that we forget that we are actually animals. Like, we forget that just because we have feelings doesn't mean, or just because we have feelings doesn't mean we don't have a mind, right? Because our mind is what guides our heart in some way, shape, or form. Carl Jung has a quote that says, wherever you go with your mind, take your heart, and wherever your heart goes, take your mind. And I think that that's a very wise thing to say, because you have to stay connected. You have to stay connected, because what a lot of these times where these people are out here just watching you, just to watch you, what they really want to do is get you disconnected from the source. And when you're disconnected from the source, even just saying that, like, makes my heart, like, sink a little, just because I know that there are people out there that really do have malicious intentions. And you may not even know these people exist around you until it's a little bit too late. But I also want to talk about how building a legacy is not a chore. Okay? Now, what do all three of these topics have in common? And so the three main topics are that they can't stop thinking about you. When humanity sees the devil, it's going to, like, we're going to be able to maybe find peace. And then finally, building a legacy isn't a chore. Now, what exactly does all of this entail? How does this all come together? And I actually do think I'm going to put the main title for this as Building a Legacy Isn't a Chore, because this all ties together, but I think just making it very more simplified in that one simple state would be efficient enough. But I wanted to kind of build up to this. So when you are building your legacy, specifically as a man, and if you're a woman and you're helping, because you're a helpmate, according to the Bible, if you're helping whatever man is in your life build his legacy, what you are really doing as man or woman is not anything revolving around like chores. This isn't like doing laundry. This isn't like doing the dishes. You are creating something that is going to last generations. That's my goal. Like, why would I not want to create something that would last generations? And it's not necessarily the fact that I want my children, my future children, to like just have this easy life. my children will suffer. Don't you worry. My children will suffer, but not in the sense of physical pain or abuse or anything like that, to the best of my ability. It's going to be more along the lines of discipline. It's going to be more along the lines of practicing virtue. Now, practicing virtue is a part of building the legacy. And it's not a chore at all in any sense. It's not a chore at all. It's pure dedication, it's pure will, it's pure strength of mind, body, and soul. And this is something I've only begun to, I believe, scratch the surface with, even though I've had years of experience with my spiritual awakening and dealing with all different kinds of spiritual attacks and all different kinds of traumas and everything like that. Like, I've seen most everything there is to see, and yet I still do get nervous at times where I'm in certain situations, and I genuinely think that that's a healthy thing to do. And the reason, and to have, because if you are completely fearless, I don't necessarily think that that's the most wise thing to do. Because when you have fear, it actually makes you, when you understand the nature of fear, I should say, you will understand also that fear can be a utility based to determine where to go and how to go about things. And it's not necessarily, fear is a weird thing, because when you feel the fear, you know you have to have the courage to overcome it. But how do you have the courage to overcome it, and why do you need to have the courage to overcome it? And why is this part of building a legacy? Well, because oftentimes you're going to have to take risks. I was taking a risk. Anybody that's seen my videos from 6+ months ago has known that the room that I was in is not this room. And I was in a studio apartment for nearly 2 years. And it was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. And I did it because I wanted to make sure that I was able to save financially. I wanted to make sure that I could actually just live a life that was filled with humility, that God was humbling me, and I was making sure that I was capable of being humbled. And that way I appreciate what I actually have more so down the line. Because on this journey, sometimes you may have almost everything stripped from you. I did. I had nearly lost everything. I lost a lot of my family. I lost pretty much every single friend that I would consider a close friend, that is. I still have acquaintances that I've had within the last 5 years or so. But in these last 5 years, I had to completely rebuild everything. Jordan Peterson has a quote where he says, you might have to burn 95% of what you are, but if that last 5% is solid, then that might just be enough to get you to redemption or salvation, something along those lines. And I pretty much burned 95% of what I was and who I was in order to get to who I am now and to where I am. Just who I am right now and who I am watching as you watch this video, rather. And this was part of my bouncing back. It took a long time to bounce back, but all of that pain and all that suffering had transformed myself into something greater, something more beautiful, something more true, something more good, something more honorable, something more dignifying, someone that has integrity, and someone that knows the value of connection. Because when you haven't had true, authentic connection your whole life, which I'm sure there are a lot of people that haven't had that watching this, when you finally get that, you're going to start to really appreciate it. And you're not going to just throw it away, because you know the true value of it. The true value of connection with human beings. That is something very precious. And it's not just deep conversations. It's even surface level conversations as well. It's like just being able to connect authentically, no matter what level it is. That's going to be the most important aspect of your life. Of course, you want to connect most with God, of course, first, but that's one of the reasons why I'm going to allow my children to suffer, is because suffering allows you to develop a connection to yourself. And I'm not saying that they're going to like be hungry or like homeless or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they're going to understand what hard work really means, and they're going to appreciate what it's like to actually have certain things. I don't plan to get a huge house or a huge piece of land anytime soon. Like, I want that by the time I'm 35 to 40. That's my goal. For now, it's about solidifying the grounds. Because if I don't have the proper soil, the seeds are not going to grow the way I want them to. And if I don't have the proper nutrition, if I don't have the proper sunlight, if I don't plant my crops, and allow my fruits to grow in a certain way, if they're not getting the nutrition they need at the base level, they're not going to branch out into anything that's great. But this is one of the other reasons why it bothers me so much to have people like this is another reason why I stay alone a lot. Because so many times in my life I've experienced people that like they view self-development as like a bore or a burden. It's like, and these people can also be very healthy physically. Like they know how to be physically healthy for sure. Like they are absolutely top notch. Like some of the people that I'm at the gym with sometimes, because this gym that I go to is like, it's one of the nicer gyms in town. Let's just say that. Like it's a good gym. I like the gym. It's got a lot of beautiful equipment. It's just a very good place to work out. But sometimes the people there just, it's almost like they take advantage of the coolness or the greatness of it. They take advantage of, and they don't really truly have gratitude for what actually is going on. Like we got new equipment a couple months ago, and the equipment was already like fairly good. Sure, it was used, but it was already fairly good. Better than any other equipment that I've used in the past. And when we got new equipment in just a couple months ago, there was a woman there that was like complaining like, "Oh, finally we get new equipment. Finally. Oh my gosh, it's been so long." And I could just tell that this woman has not like really worked a day in her life. It's like, you may have a good body. And she was like a mom too. Like she's a mom or something. Like she's probably got a husband just because of the way that she acts. Like, sometimes you can tell with women, like they're definitely in a relationship just by the way they act. And then you have the other kinds of women that are in relationships but don't want to tell you until things start to happen. But those are the kinds of women that you need to stay away from. And those are the kinds of women that will destroy your fucking legacy. Holy crap. They may look beautiful, but they are going to fuck everything up. And you have not worked this hard as a man to get leftovers. You have not worked this hard as a man to just, she's really hot and she's kind of into me, it looks like, so I guess I'll just screw up my life because, this seems to be the best option I can get. Are you serious? Are you serious? You can't be serious. And some of those guys out there, like, this is another reason why, for men and women, you must be so wise to choose proper partners. So wise. And I'm not trying to like boast or anything here, but I've rejected more women in the past 2-3 months than I ever have any point in my life ever. And it's not because I didn't want to be with them physically. Like, obviously I wouldn't have pursued them in some way if I wasn't attracted to them. But once I found out certain things, once I saw certain red flags, I just gotta go. Oh, nope. Let's just keep it professional. You know, it's no. I wish you no ill will, but yeah, let's not actually. Because I'd rather be single, building my empire on the lay low, and having to just live a life where I am on my own rather than be with the wrong person. And that's just the way it's going to be. I don't want any other way. I don't want it any other way. And it's almost like the more I focus on building my legacy, the easier the women are coming to me. Like, I've had women just... It's crazy out here. Like, it's great. Like, don't get me wrong, it's great. I never thought this would be able to happen. Like, I never thought that women would actually chase the way that they chase. I never thought that they would, like, pursue the way that they pursue up until the last year and a half or so, specifically, like, hardcore within the last 2 to 3 months. It's almost as if, too, like, the more I'm able to disqualify women as a godly man, the more the women show up. It's just crazy. And it's like they're trying to get your approval now, but it's like, honey, you're not going to get my approval by your sexuality. In fact, that's going to make it worse. In fact, it's going to make it worse. How about this? Go put some clothes on, get some cooking classes or something, learn how to cook better. Go cook me a steak. I want it medium well. I want my steak medium well, and give me some broccoli in there too, and make me a protein shake as well, and then we'll talk. We'll see what's going on. But until then, no. It's a no from me. Feel like Simon Cowell on American Idol or something. It's like, well, it's a no from me. That was the worst British accent ever. Don't even talk about that in the comments. I don't know why that came out the way it did. I can do a British accent, but for some reason it just did not come out right there. But anyway, the point is that whenever you like pick your woman, however you pick your woman, however you pick your man, it's going to be a pure reflection of what your future is going to be like in one way, shape, or form or another. And women usually base their choices off of what a man's future will be like. And men usually base their choices off what a woman's past is like. And a lot of the times you can tell a woman's past by just the way she interacts with you. And I've mentioned this before, like just recently and in other videos. If she's trying to use her sexuality to gain her approval of you, she's doing one of two things. She's trying to use sex to lock you down into a relationship, which I don't think is the kind of woman that you would want anyway. But that is what they would try to do. Or number two, she's just a hoe. And that's not a woman that you would want anyway as well. So the woman that is able to remember little details about you, or remember your drink order or whatever, or remember certain little things that you've said in the past, or actually know how to invest and not use it in a manipulative way, that's a woman. And a woman that is able to just shut up, as fucked up as that sounds, I kind of laughed at myself there when I said that, but as screwed up as that sounds, a woman that's able to just be quiet and listen to you, and actually just listen and not listen to respond, that's a nice woman. And I've met very few. I've met very few women like that. They are out there, but I've met very few. And almost all of them have been married. Almost all of them. And I met them at like business events where their husband introduced me to them. Like I didn't know who they were until I was introduced to them at the business event. And it's just like, wow, that's a woman, man. Like, good on you, brother. I wish you all well. But then there's going to be other parts of your legacy that you're going to have to learn how to build. And when you do build your legacy, this is why people start to watch you. So we're going full circle now. When you build your legacy, when you're able to say no, because when you say no, that means your yes actually means something. That's part of another reason why I don't think these women understand that are actually hoes, like are acting like it. They claim to be like, you know, wifey material or whatever, and then it's like, well, you're not acting like it. So you're not a traditional woman, so why do I need to act traditionally toward you? Well, when you say no, and because their yes doesn't mean anything if they've said yes to everybody else. So that's why your no is so important. If you can say no as a man or a woman, that means your yes actually means something as well. And that's cool. That's awesome. And a lot of times people are going to start watching you when you're able to start saying no more and more often. In fact, no has become one of my new favorite words, or I don't like that. And it's not because I'm trying to be an a-hole or anything. It's just like, no, that's not how this is going to go down. I'm not a yes man, okay? Like, I'm a grown-ass man that is trying to get his life together, that is trying to build a family, that is trying to build a legacy, that is trying to honor God to the highest extent and the highest spiritual channels. If you don't like that program, buzz off. But you can only do those things when you can acknowledge the devil within you. And that's why when you're building your legacy, it's important to know your inner demons and your inner devil and to be at least acquainted with it as a man. And as a woman, you need to know, this is something I mentioned in a community post earlier, like last week. You know, you need to know how to lessen the lows in life. If you can lessen the lows and heighten the highs, that's great. And I'm paraphrasing that based off of something that Nietzsche said. I don't think, I guess you could say I corrected him, which I don't know how he would feel about that, but I made adjustments to what he said in a way that I thought would be more clear to the modern day times. But with all that being said, we're getting close to 30 minutes here. Holy cow. I think we'll cut it off for today. That's the video. That's the video for today. I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.